What up, though? I'm Calibri the artist.
Hey, and I'm Marcel Stewart.
That's right. And we're here at the Umoja Fine Arts Gallery, talking about the Blooming in Color art show featuring Marcel's Artist Talk. If you missed it, then you missed it, but you here to catch it via video. Come with us. Take a look.
Hey, come on. I think that's the whole goal at the end of the day, being able, especially with art, being able to express yourself with visual art or, performance art or, music. Any form of art, is a form of expression. And if we could do that and be able to express our thoughts, whether those be political thoughts, joyous thoughts, or even thoughts of anger that we get out during times of depression, sometimes we just have to get off an emotion to connect with another person or just to let it all out. And that's what art is to me, it's an outlet. So this one is 32.50, and this one is 55. It's a little smaller, but still has a lot of textures.
So it's lower?
Yeah, this is a lower price point.
Okay, just showing it.
But it still has these vibrant colors, still has these textures. It's a great piece. It's titled Vibrant Balance.
Okay.
And I want to be able to show the vibrancy in it, obviously, but also the composition of balance. So I put things in here to show that the piece is balanced. Not only the blocks that you see that are suggested, they aren't even full blocks, some of them, but also the drips. The drips cause a balance.
And the color.
Exactly, and the color.
And the shades that you chose.
Right, and there's a black and a gray in there too.
Middle, and then it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have to be so controlled.
Yes.
Yes. That's almost like an oxymoron.
Right.
The control that it takes to be free.
You're right. So an artist actually asked me, do I use a brush when I paint that or something like that? And it's like, no. A lot of artists ask me that actually. I don't use a brush. I don't use a specific tool. You guys would be surprised if I told you, but I use a pie slicer. Right? But it's the ingenuity and the creativity that has gotten me there, along with the wrist work, right? So it's a, just like how Robert said, it's a method of, being able to swirl, being able to move, and mastering the technique of then blending another color in. and creating those particular waves, hitting it with a blowtorch. This is all experience that's been developed over years of technique, you know, and being able to, beyond that, control it, you know.
What were you doing before you were doing this?
So before art, I did work in the corporate world. I worked for BASF as a supply chain analyst. So they gave me a heads up as far as chemicals are concerned. You know, I did understand a little bit of how different chemicals reacted with paint and how just chemicals reacted with each other in general. But beyond that, it also gave me an understanding of globalization and how things move around the world. So when it comes to moving my art, I understand a little bit about how to move the product around the world, you know. So I do, you know, envision my art moving globally someday with that experience.
I was curious because of the wrist work. I'm like, what are you doing? It's the basketball, right?
Yeah. That's what it is. I like to have fun. So when I do approach these pieces, I think of it as a field or a court that I'm playing on, you know, but there's no out of bounds. You know, I'm just kind of going from angle to angle everywhere, and I'm playing, and at the end, I'll compose this thing, and I'll bring a composition to the end that you can see, you can familiarize yourself with, and you'll have the same amount of fun that I did in the background.
So you have a piece that you're unveiling.
Yes,
today, right?
yes. So this is the piece here. So I'm gonna walk around with this piece, and I want everyone to take a good look at this piece here. It's titled Vibrant Balance. So as you heard me speak about the vibrancy in my pieces, as well as the balance inside of my pieces, when I bring this piece around, I want you to really look at the depth of texture, the finite texture, as opposed to some of the other paintings, as well as the vibrancy that's put in. There is black inside of this painting. There is gray inside of this painting. That just tells you how many layers that there are, in fact. So I'll walk around and I'll let Calibri talk a little bit so you guys can get a closer look.
While Marcel is walking around, does anyone have any questions for Marcel or about this piece?
Does that have a comment in terms of the black that's sitting on top? It's got that frosted kind of. What was there specific?
Well, yeah, I wanted to create more so of a vague, subtle feeling in the background. Exactly. While I brought the vibrancy more out to you, to give you that more three-dimensional feel without the three-dimensional look. A specific tool that I like to use, and with these finite textures, I dance, so to speak. Yeah, I dance with the textures.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, this piece is titled Vibrant Balance, simply because of the vibrancy inside of the piece, as you all seen up close. I used fluorescent colors inside of this piece to really bring it out, along with that blue, or along with the black and the white to contrast the vibrant colors. But then the balance comes from the suggestive shapes, and being able to guide yourself through those shapes and go from, you know, one area to the next area and riding along those textures visually.
I have a question for the crowd. What color do you think of when you think of balance? Don't look at the piece. What color do you think of when you think of balance? Blue, right? So this is what I'm pointing out, the genius of Marcel Stewart, because he used these fluorescent colors, these not even maroons or reds. What's popping out to me are the neons, the oranges, you know, things of that nature. And then the composition where it's light in the middle and then balance in the corners. It's really unique and different. It's well, they're all like puzzle pieces, you know, and it's like jumping into the mind of Marcel, because we would all think blue.
Yeah, no, I think that's well put. I think I mentioned, you know, like I said, the textures are pretty much me playing around and learning how to navigate through it, you know. Some textures, as you see in other pieces, are a lot more focused in on and going in one specific direction. So look for that as you gaze around the gallery.
Speaking of gazing around the gallery, we're gonna take a quick pause and give you guys a chance to experience Marcel Stewart. I'm gonna hand the mic over back to Mr. Ian Grant. I'll clap him up.
Thank you, Marcel. Excellent job. Thank you, Calibri. You guys are doing an excellent job. As you can see, Marcel just brought one of his special paints down to show you the texture, how he builds the textures up to 20 to 30 layers. So what we want to do at this particular point in time, I get a chance to move around the gallery pretty much. If this is your first time and you're still learning about art, pretty much anything you see with a red sticker is sold. As you can see, we have a lot of red stickers here. This show is called Blooming in Color. We still have 3 weeks for this show. So this area was named Small Bud. When we started out with the Small Bud area, we only had about 10 originals in the Small Bud, but you see the Small Bud now has grown up to about 20 originals because supply and demand, like anything else, it's our job to make sure you get what you want here at Umoja Fine Arts. We do have a payment plan, 3 different payment plans that you can work with. That's very, very nice for you. And again, we have Miss Rosemary Summers here. I'd like to acknowledge her. She was featured on the cover of Black magazine, and this is Black Love. Black love lasts forever. So if you do purchase an original today, you will get a signed copy by Rose of Black Love. So take some time and move around. We're going to move these chairs here and this out of the way, and so you can get a chance to get into the back, and you have both artists here to take pictures with or ask any questions. I'm just going to tell you it's important as you move on that you do take pictures with the artists, you get to know them, and these things become very important. I'm going to tell you, when I started in this business over 30 years ago, my first artist was Biore, and I did not take pictures with the great Biore. Now, again, we didn't have cameras like we have cameras today, right? So that's something I regret for life. That's a lifer, right? So if you have Miss Rosemary Summers here that's building her prominence and building her artists throughout the world like she is doing today, it's nice to be able to say, hey, I have a picture of Rosemary Summers here in 2022. I have a picture of Marcel Stewart. Now, what's key about Marcel, and you have to understand, Marcel is only 30 years old. So as he builds his prominence now for the next 40 years, for not only you, but also for your kids, let's talk about generational wealth. Let's talk about building generational wealth. Let's talk about what's going on in the stock market. The stock market is tanking and going down, but the art market is going up, where, again, 25% increase or more if you're looking at what's happening in the marketplace overall. And at the auctions, I think this is very, very key. The 20th century artists like Picasso, the Rembrandts of the world, things are changing. Now we're starting to see like the Andy Warhols, the Ernie Barnes, and so they call that contemporary art. So the contemporary art is stepping up to the table. So the artists of our time is stepping up to the table today, and they're garnishing on the marketplace anywhere from $1 million to up to $50, $60 million. This is happening before your lifetime. Also, this is the fastest growing segment of the entire art world. They continue to say when we go to auction that our artwork will sell maybe for $200,000, $300,000. Our artwork continues to sell anywhere from $5 million on up. This is one of the last marketplace that you have the opportunity to own. We lost the sports industry. We don't control that. They had the Negro Leagues, right? And they were like, oh, they can't play baseball as well as the, Babe Ruths and the other people in the big leagues. And you saw what happened when Jackie Robinson got there, Satchel Paige and those people, right? And then they talked about the music industry and how they split that in the South, and the blacks and whites couldn't get together, different things like that. Then we saw what happened when our masters came along in the music industry. So now we're telling you this is the third element. I'm gonna say it one more time. This is the third element for you to build generational wealth. You do not want to wait till the newspaper or the other persuasion tell you it's time to collect. Because I'm gonna tell you in this show, a great percentage of it, well over a third of this show has already sold to the other persuasion, okay? So I want you to know that they understand our art market, they understand our values, our jewels. These colors that are being duplicated, that's coming from deep in the belly, below the belly button, is coming from Africa, what's coming outside of them. It's just like, they say, how can we jump like that? How can we throw the ball like that? I'm gonna say, well, how can they paint like that? Okay? So with that, take a look around at the originals and what's available. Take some pictures with the artists. You're welcome to take pictures of any art that you see here and any questions. I am the gallerist of Umoja Fine Arts, and we've been in business at this location since 1996, so that's 25 years. Been in the business over 30 years. Got in this business from the music industry. People say, why would you cross from the music industry to the art industry? Because I anticipated back then where this market was going, how we're gonna build this marketplace. So sometimes you have to have vision, right? Because they say without vision, the people will perish. And so I'm giving you the vision today. So don't tell your sons or daughters or family members 20 or 30 years from now, I remember when. It's time for us to put those stories behind us and say, I jumped in with both feet. Have a great time looking around. Thank you.
In a more gravitated fashion. So at the top you see about 30 to 40 layers. It's really, really thick build up. But that begins to drown out and begins to reveal the true composition of the piece. And that's the reason why I titled it Above All, not because of those layers, but because of the splash and the true activity that's happening above all of the other chaos.
Your artwork is too low price.
Well, you know, it's got to
Like
build.
100 grand. Looks like 150.
It's got to build. It's got to build, and that's the
Y'all
whole
better
process.
Get it while it's low.
Right. And then as I start to develop other things to go along with it, that's what really brings the true value to it, you know. So like I said, I'll be showcasing, or I already just showcased out in Wisconsin virtually. So it's going to be some representation out there for me, and as well as in Atlanta. So I'm connected with a gallery out in Atlanta as well. So it's all about trying to move the artwork and build a good network too at the same time.
Market in particular that you'd like to tap into?
Yeah, the market that I want to tap into right now is interior design. I want to go that route, and then another route I want to go into is, you know, the commercial market, where not necessarily my artwork is commercial, but they're putting my original artworks, like that size or larger, inside of lobbies, whether that be a hotel lobby, a large corporate building lobby, like the Fisher Building, their lobby, places like that. So, you know, I'm creating a strategy and a plan to, you know, attack right at them, and that's why I'm putting together some of the things that I'm putting together right now. I do want it.
I used to when I was younger.
just God, you know, sometimes you get connected with the right people,
Mhm.
but, and then again, actually, I stumbled upon, I have artwork at home, and I had this print, I was trying to find the, basically information on it, because it was from the 80s, and it was from, one of the Marriotts here. So
Okay.
I contacted the gallery, out in Pennsylvania, that they should distribute it. Well, we don't do that anymore, but you know, we still distribute pieces. I'm like, really? So I've been basically shooting artists their way.
Oh, okay,
Because
okay.
they're still in business. They've actually grown a lot since then.
Yeah.
The piece came from like 87 or whatever.
Okay.
You know, we don't
So
have
it was
that
a
no
piece
more,
that they probably published or
it was
distributed.
a piece that they published and distributed.
Okay.
I got it, but I called them looking for information about the piece. You know, I just knew that it was from their gallery sent to the Marriott.
Okay.
You know, and it's in my hands, but they're speaking to them. I found out
Exactly.
I still distribute artwork to all of these different places.
To these locations and have basically a relationship with
But
those
they have
individuals.
contracts with them, and then now more because they've grown. This is since '87, you was doing it with the
Okay.
Marriott, and now they have kind of everybody.
Yeah, I love to connect with that gallery, you know, especially if they're out in Pennsylvania. That's actually where Ian is from. So, you know, that'd be a big help. You know, I haven't done any business out in Philadelphia yet. So. Oh yeah. So like along with like the interior design and everything, I wanted to go like different areas, and I pinpoint different areas based on, you know, how I look at the map on a financial standpoint. You know what I mean? And as well as how I look at the art marketplace. You know what I mean? So I know California and Seattle and that whole western border is flooded with financials, you know, and income. But at the same time, you know, the standard of living, the cost of living is very, very expensive over there. So with that being said, it's a lot of places that aren't even in business. Like, it's not a lot of art galleries out there. You know, people that's in business are probably either in real estate, you know, or they're strictly in higher end sales. You know, if it is a gallery out there, they're a gallery that's really selling probably 10,000 and up. You know, if they're in business. But on the East Coast, it's where at least where I see, you know, more of the progress of, you know, art really happening and art purchases really happening. When I visited Harlem, people, they were selling prints, you know, easily for anywhere from $500 to $1,000. And then originals anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000, and, you know, completely selling out of their whole booth. But then, you know, you go down to Miami, which is still on the East Coast, and that same thing is happening. And these are individual artists that's getting their own booths at these expos or art shows. So then you put that next to a gallery that can go, you know, and do the same thing. And, you know, you have different galleries from all around the nation, and that's what you really start to visualize, you know, not just, okay, a gallery from Detroit. It's a gallery from Texas. It's a gallery from California. It's a gallery from Denver. It's a gallery from Ohio. It's a gallery from wherever, you know what I mean, New Jersey. And now you really start to understand the different talent that's out there. You understand the different types of value that's out there, because everybody doesn't value things the same, and everybody doesn't pay for things the same. In Texas, everything is big. So you expect to pay a big price for something big. And in California, the price is just high. So if you're from California, you're just charging a high price, no matter what it is. So once you start to understand the dynamics of how the culture works with people and the regions, then I think it's easier to sell in those regions, you know.
Have you thought about doing international?
Yeah, so I want to kind of get control of home first and figure out what's my best place home so I can come back. Exactly. So I love Detroit. And like I feel like I've gained some tread here, gained some momentum here. And collectors too, I love all my collectors here, and they'll always be my roots. But beyond that, you know, like I said, I want to take a step out, and I want to start to build somewhere else, you know, to say, okay, I'm building here, I can have a strong ground here and at my home. And then after that, after I build a little bit somewhere else, then I think it'll be time to take what I've built as a sum from these locations as well as in my home, and take a little bit from everywhere and then take it overseas. Yeah, I want to go to Europe. That's why I did the piece, A Night in Paris.
I keep thinking about Dubai.
Yeah, no, A Night in Paris.
Big, I can see
Yeah.
stepping off the airport going to the United, and plus it's money.
Yeah, so what I read about Dubai, yeah, it's a lot of architecture, and that's what comes with my art. You know, I like to see my art in places that have high-end and nice developed architecture, you know, engineered architecture. So if it's a nice building with big windows, big glass windows, and you have a blank wall, I feel like that light from that window, that natural light should be hitting right on the painting, you know. Not directly on the painting to ruin the painting, but, you know, it should be shining on that painting every morning and saying, hey, good morning, you know. And that's why I see my paintings in hospitals. I see them in senior homes, you know, different areas like that where it can bring joy to people that sometimes don't have it or sometimes fight to have it. You know, you never really know how much you need art until you really do need it. You need that real pick-me-up and, you know, you're lonely. You know, and then you see something and say, wow, this is what I needed to get me through. Somebody told me this morning on Instagram that a paint that I did in 2020 helped them through a very, very challenging time that they had. And it was about the size of one of these paintings. But the fact that they still held on to it and didn't, you know, want to let it go meant that much to me. You know, it's not the sale at that point. It's more so, you know, the activity of what it did for that person emotionally, you know. It touched them and it got them through a challenging time.
You know, really giving us an opportunity to invest in knowing what that is. I always joke about him being Andre Harrell, you know, of the art world, but he really is. We don't have anything like that. And he's calm, you know, just, you don't usually get to see, like if you're walking around, you're not going to see Andre Harrell walking around. You see Ian Grant walking around, and he's humble about it, but Umoja Fine Arts sells more originals, or I think top in the world for original fine art, one of the top in the world.
I would say, yeah, we did the top in maybe.
One of the leading for black art in the world, you know, in the country. If you're looking at black art, if you've been in a space and seen Annie Lee's, if you've been in a space and seen, oh, I know that picture, those artists came through this gallery. They were represented by that man. So give him another round of applause. Take your pictures with him, too. Because it's a major deal. Okay, so that said, what type of pressure did it feel? What did it feel like coming into this blanket?
Man, the pressure was felt at the beginning, but then, you know, Ian let me know at the beginning as well and said, you'll be in the art show with Poncho and Paul Goodnight. So that right there kind of shocked me, but it was a warm welcoming as well. He wasn't saying, okay, I need you to sell 5 paintings, or we're out here, you know? So it was a warm welcoming, and him saying, okay, what kind of artwork do you have? You know, what are you looking for? You know, and how can we make you better? How can we develop you? He knew I was a raw talent, and he helped create some of the creativity that I already had inside. He let me know to do away with the splash for a minute so you could dig deeper. Go in the belly and go dig deep and come back once you're done. And I came back and he even had to get paid. So, right, few. So it was good, it was good. But it was an inspiration. It was a lot of pressure at first, but you learn how to deal with it and take it on and turn it into creativity.
Now, how did being partnered in an exhibition, because Umoja's known for that, they will partner very prominent artists with emerging artists. Emoji be emoji. They partner their artists, and it, like you said, it's a very nice welcome.
It is.
But that also raises your start level pretty quickly. If you can, now don't think you can just come and just do it, because you gotta be, the talent has to be there.
Right, and I'll be honest, you know, when I did it, I was an emerging artist, fresh out of a social club, and nobody really knew me beyond that social club, so it was more so, okay, if I could sell anything, I'd be lucky. I was kind of thinking, but I still brought it, you know. I sold 2 small originals inside of the painting that were priced under $1,000, but it kind of gave me some confidence to keep going, and that's what it's all about. Keep creating, and if the paintings aren't appealing or pleasing, that's not bad. You created what you created, so you keep going. You don't let anybody deter you. You don't let anybody stop you. You just keep going. So that's what I did. Ian even stopped and asked me and said, hey, you sold these amount, because that's his job, to let people know where they stand at, you know, not to let anybody get the big head, not to let anybody get down too far. But this is where you stand at, and these are the facts. So he let me know the facts and said, do you want to continue to move forward with Umoja? I said, let's keep pushing. And once I said that, it's when the piece Mystical Harmony that I mentioned earlier sold, and the momentum started to pick up.
Very nice, very nice. Got thrown into there with.
It got thrown into the fire and came out a warrior.
I like that. I like that. I like that. So not only did you come out a warrior, you kind of came out leading the plan. You're manager here at Umoja, correct?
Yes, I'm gallery manager here under Mr. Ian Grant and Mrs. Tangi Grant. They welcomed me in and gave me position as gallery manager to, you know, digitize the gallery, help out with some marketing, digitizing, helping out with the website in some areas. And during that time, I'm able to not only learn more about the art marketplace, but learn how that is an advantage to my own creativity. I'm able to get an outlook of other artists throughout the nation and see what they're doing and see how they're able to grab the attention of other individuals and other collectors, and seeing how my art not only compares to that, but how my artwork is evaluated against those other viewers, because they look at art a little bit different. Some people may say, okay, my artwork is a little bit too vibrant, and that may raise the question as, why is my artwork vibrant? It has to be a reason behind it, and it is a reason behind it. So it just gives me another reason to dive a little bit deeper into my explanations, the reasons as to why I create, and things of that nature.
So what I'm seeing is really the business side. You know, I know that everybody knows you as an artist,
Yeah.
but here doing that business part, especially underneath, and not just with Mr. Grant, but Mrs. Grant as well. Business, really tight homes. You're really learning business. How does that affect you? I know that you bring a lot to the table. Does that challenge you to really go hard and bring, I didn't know how to do this, I can do, you know, what does that
Oh
do?
no, I never approached the ball game like that. It's more so, I try to approach it with what do you have for me today? My plate isn't full. Because I consider myself a sponge. You know, the lessons that are brought to me are valuable lessons. They're lessons that have already been taught to my peers, and my peers are older than me. My peers have experienced more than me. Just like Ian said, the first artist that he represented the show was Rosemary, and look where he is now. So it shows me the mistakes that he's made with him. He can teach me, and that's what I take from it. You know, he's going to teach me all of those mistakes that he's made, and he hopes that I wouldn't make them. So I adhere to him. I never say, you know, my plate is full, I got too much to do, just give me about another day. I'm taking it on. If I don't fulfill it, you know, I'll come back with it and say, okay, how can we get this whole thing strategized and planned out and executed?
You're doing a wonderful job. Hannah Brown was called for strategizing. I just want to put this up
Okay.
as one of your mini tweets.
Yeah.
So, Umoja actually has a book, A Guide to Collecting African American Art. So, you mentioned before the importance of collecting and what you like to do as far as educating. Can you tell us a little bit about
Yes.
the book, about your
Yes.
role, how you fit into that, all of it?
Yes, I felt like it was a need for us to educate everyone about art. The first step into getting to anything is the education of it, especially if you're purchasing it. You want to know about what you're doing and what you're getting yourself into. Once I learned about art, learned how to create it, and learned the value of it, it made me want to invest, not only in collecting art, but also in other things. I learned that investing is a way to really save your money and make it increase. So we created this book to educate people before investing in art. Some people already know, but some people have questions. Okay, if I get this piece of art, do I need a frame? Or if I get this piece of art, can I hang it anywhere? Or if I get this piece of art, can I hang it two ways? It's questions like that that need to be answered, and the answers are in this book. So I developed developed this book alongside Ian Grant, and things that he looked over and thought that should be in there are critical elements to your success as a collector, your success as a educated art buyer, you want to make sure that you have these tools to know what to do with your art once you collect it, or know what art to collect.
I like that you pointed out knowing what art to collect. You mentioned before in a previous conversation that a lot of people just are kind of, they're green. You know, they hear about art, they're starting to see art, you're seeing people mention art, but there's not, it's like a secret society given
Right.
to you.
Right.
You're saying that there's a need for
Yeah,
it, but
it
in your
is.
mind, why is there a need?
It is,
Who fits the need?
because there's a society out here, or just a group of individuals out here that want to get art. They know it's the art world, quote unquote, but it's how do I buy into it? What's my end? Or who do I know that can get me into it? And am I going to trust that person enough to buy in? And I think it's simply the first key is always, do you like what you're going to buy? Just like any stock, you know, if you have an iPhone, you'll probably buy Apple stock, you know. But with the art, if you like it, that's the first thing. Do you like it? If you like it, go ahead and consider purchasing it. But the secondary thing is it a good purchase? And that's all based on the artist and the artist's prominence, like Ian had mentioned. You want to check out this artist's credentials, where they've shown, how they've shown, and the type of pieces they produce, who they've sold to, and the type of collection that they have their work in, and the location that their work is in. So myself, I've shown in a number of museums. I've shown in a number of states. I am represented in a number of states. I have also had a number of exhibitions here at Umoja, thanks to Ian and his team. I've worked alongside nationally and internationally acclaimed artists. And all of that in combination has just helped me sharpen my skills. And that's my reason of saying that, is because once you sharpen your skills to a particular level, it's not the credentials that will validate you, it's the visuals that will do so. The credentials is a receipt.
That's right. And I just wanted to point out too, because you mentioned all these places where you're showcasing and all the connections, but it's God, but it's also very strategic. Like Marcel is very, very strategic, Umoja period, and how you sell art, how you market art.
Yes.
Paying attention to who your clients are, who's looking at your art, what questions they have, and then fulfilling those needs. Can you hold up that brochure?
Yeah.
I'm short, y'all. But could you tell us about that brochure and why you developed it?
So I just developed this brochure. It's a Marcel Stewart brochure, and it simply just tells you all about me, my artwork, and why you would even want to consider collecting abstract artwork. So some simple things in here is like my artistic design, artistic technique, the interior solutions that it provides, as well as the investment solutions that it provides for you. But all in all, you know, what you get when you collect a Marcel Stewart is you get an addition to your home, and beyond that, you get an addition to your family. My paintings, I understood at an early stage when I started painting, is that my name is starting to hold the weight for my family. So as I paint, I had to start to collect pieces and not release them to the public in order to give to my wife if anything ever happened to me. If I got hit by a bus tomorrow, my daughter, she would need one of my paintings. With all of this in here, my daughter needs one of my paintings at 3 years old to say, okay, I remember, you know? So I have a number of paintings at home, you know, never been released to the public, but that's the investment, you know, that you make to yourself, and then you make an investment to the public. I've made particular donations to institutions that I care about that help out my community. And those are the types of things that I find myself doing and with my art that really leads back to my community, you know, and leads back to my heart and the reason why I do art in the first place. Yeah.
I just think that's amazing that you, well, number one, I don't know if there are artists watching, the importance of keeping some artwork for yourself. It's like owning property. These are houses on the wall. I don't know if y'all realize that, but these are houses on the wall. And they grow in value the same.
Yes.
And for you to build houses, but not have any is ridiculous, you know, number one. But also I want to point that out because yes, you're getting beauty, you're getting emotion, But make no mistake about it, it is an investment. And if you look at them as property, then you can take these to the bank just like assets. You withdraw equity just like any other asset. These are assets.
Exactly.
So you're buying into that. And with a Marcel Stewart, how long you been in the game again? Let's repeat that.
6 years. So professionally with Umoja, I've only been here for about 2 years, believe it or not. And a quick little story on what she's referring to is Ian's son actually bought a painting for me, and it was my first painting that I brought into Umoja. So he bought it fairly priced. Now that painting's value has doubled. Like over, I want to say a year and a half. Yeah, a year and a half. So it's sometimes that quick, especially for younger artists, because we have so much time to grow, and people kind of want to get in early. And that's the whole idea, is to get in early, because in 10 years, imagine where the value will be at. And right.
Ernie Bars, hey, just a sidebar,
true.
because Ernie Bars, the Sugar Shack just sold for, well, with total everything, almost 15 million.
Right.
I will say about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, it was valued at about 26,000.
Yes.
It was under
Yes.
100,000, yes, so
Yes.
it jumped that quick. And this is where Mr. Grant talked about where we're getting in the other persuasion.
Exactly.
Where we're in a lane, it's, I tell people, art right now is like rock and roll was. You know, we're getting into a market where people are starting to see, oh, wait a minute, there's value over here.
And that's-
So it's shooting.
And I think that's because they're actually looking at the credentials. They're actually looking at everything that is evaluated along with the art, and not just the simple image. Like I said, a lot of people, they simply don't understand the abstract. And it's sad because it gives you so much fulfillment, you know? So that's why, another reason why I developed the brochure, so people can understand it first, you know? And if they want to involve themselves, then they can do so. But beyond that, it's more so the investment as well, you know? And if you can invest in it and see your investment grow because you're confident and savvy enough to know that you have that opportunity here at hand, you know, it's not too many people that run across artists. It's not too many people that run across male artists. It's not too many people that run across black male artists. And then last but not least, it's not too many people that run across a black male abstract artist. And I think that's immaculate. My favorite artist is Sam Gilliam, and he's almost off the face of the earth, unfortunately. But, you know, it gives me something to create for, because we don't have too many, like I said, black abstract artists, you know.
I appreciate that, the heart to heart. You know,
Yeah.
all I'm still hearing is invest because you need to get in. I mean,
Yeah,
that's cool.
not
It's
to be on the
beautiful
other
that,
side. Yeah.
well, it's beautiful that you're putting your heart into it, and of
Mhm.
course, that's always the reason to create it. But as a consumer, as a market, you may never understand. I may never understand why they build Ferraris the way they do.
Right.
But I want a Ferrari. So, just, you know, for nothing else, for the sake of your family and building wealth, that's more, you know, invest, understand, get all of it, but still invest. Okay, so we touched on a little bit of just why you do it and everything like that. Y'all been hearing us talking about the blooming in color. What role did you play in this exhibit? Because Umoja's been on fire.
Right, yeah, Umoja usually tries to have 2 or 3 shows a year. We're jam-packed, filled up with artist submissions. So, you know, we fit things in strategically. You know, we don't do anything, wake up in the middle of the night and say, okay, we should do this, on Tuesday we're doing it. No. Everything is strategically planned out. Me and Ian go to the drawing table and see what we should do next. And he's the leader of that, and I'm usually helping execute those plans out. But with this show, he said, you know, let's do another show like how we did last year. We had a success. And this show is going to be themed around the same thing. We wanted to pop up flowers, to pop up colors, but since we're coming out of COVID, so many negative things happen, let's bloom out in color. So me and Rosemary went ahead to the drawing table in November and painted every single day, and we painted vibrant paintings that would bring everyone's energy up, bring us in a positive mood. Every time somebody walked into this gallery, they wanted to be like, wow. And that's what we wanted to bring to people. But the other part that I played in it was, you know, ensuring that we had this gallery staged out how me and Ian wanted it staged. You see the small buzz behind us. It's a wall full of them. And these are strategically placed like this. Same thing with the stagger paintings here. The paintings arranged in specific color movements that we have across the wall. So every single thing that we did in this gallery, me and Ian, we did it together. Hard work, late nights, but it's all a passion that we have together, you know, about making the place presentable, you know, making sure that we have exquisite paintings in here, ensuring that each painting is up to par. You know, there's some paintings that weren't even brought into the gallery and shown at the exhibit, but that's because we wanted the top of the top.
Well, you really did do that. It was an incredible show, and it's still going on.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell us about, you have a grand finale?
Yeah, so, but we are having a grand finale on June 11th through June 25th. It'll be 2 weeks long. 2 weeks long, we'll have that grand finale. It'll be like one you've never seen before, where we'll have, you know, a whole nuance of things going on. So, like I said, it'll be 2 weeks, so people will be able to RSVP right now on bloomingincolor.com, and then you can come in, get a private tour, come look at the paintings that we have. I'm sure we'll have some new paintings in by then, just because, like how Ian said, the supply and the demand. So come in for the surprise, come in to enjoy a conversation with Ian and I. He has a wonderful mind and wonderful experience in the art market. So he'll be able to tell you some great things that he's learned, some great things he's encountered, or just some tips on how to be a better collector, or a better, more intelligent buyer, if you will.
Okay, well, I want to encourage everybody to come out, because this really is an incredible show. All of them are, they always are, but you really did put together a very delightful show. And I enjoyed the opening. I can't wait to see the grand finale. And you do have to come, because they'll sell out. They'll sell out before the show even opens. So you guys have to make sure you come.
Yes,
Real quick, what else is happening? What's next happening? And with Marcel Stewart?
Well, some of the things that's happening next, like how Khalifa just mentioned, the grand finale will be happening all the way from June 11th, which is the next week, all the way until June 25th. So for 2 weeks long, we'll be having that grand finale. Just RSVP for a day. Come on in, swing by, and you know, we'll be able to chat a little bit and do a deep dive on what you like, you know, what do you look for, and why are you here, you know, in the first place? Why do you like art? And then, last but not least, we have another event coming up with someone that I mentioned earlier, Poncho Brown. He's an internationally acclaimed artist out of Maryland, and out of Baltimore, Maryland. And he'll be here as he just released a book. He'll be doing a book signing, and he'll have a few originals. But along with Poncho Brown will be Mr. Brochure. And he's another artist that we'll be having on July 30th and 31st, and it'll run through September 3rd. So make sure you all grab one of these flyers on your way out. Like I said, we'll be featuring Larry Poncho Brown and Lawrence Gary.
Y'all incognito.
Yeah, Lawrence
away.
is a real low-key.
Give the people away. And collections all around the city. Prominent folks, so I won't put them out there. But a little bit of everywhere.
Yeah, but Lawrence is a great individual. His artwork is phenomenal. Me and Ian, we've seen it. We flew back by it, so you know it'll be a joy to have him out in July.
Okay. So, we're gonna wrap up. But before we do, I just want to ask you, why art?
Why art is simply because it gives me life. It gives me life.
All right, everybody. Round of applause for Mr. Marcel Stewart, y'all.
Thanks everyone for coming so much. We really believe in this generational wealth and building art. Believe it or not, I have another location here. And you would think it's a gallery, but it's my private gallery, where I have about this much art. People say, why would you have this much art? Wow, this is incredible. I buy this. No, you can't. Because this is part of my collection, my generational wealth for my family. Some people in here have seen it, and they've seen the beginning of that collection. But, you know, to be honest with you, I'll use the word stupid or silly to be in this marketplace, to know how this marketplace is growing and the generational wealth and the millions of dollars that's coming from this marketplace, and be out here selling this art and not personally collecting myself. Marcel is also an artist, and he also collects, and he has a very, very strong collection. And I know Calibri is an artist also, if you guys don't know. Besides doing her great job working with us for the past 2 years on the PR side of the business, but she's an artist and she's a collector also. So we do believe in the business. So, you know, you have to see what's happening. Just like in Detroit, if I told you 4 or 5 years ago, start buying downtown Detroit and start buying in the neighborhoods, these neighborhoods are getting ready to rise to this level. You can't get in today. This is the same kind of information we're giving you. So we would say, hey, and I got an individual here that's with an investment firm that I've invested with, because I cannot go in and purchase these properties by myself. So my family and I, they every quarter raise millions of dollars. So my family and I have invested many thousands of dollars with them, and when they go in and buy, they might buy 10 or 15,000 at a time with lots and different things throughout the city, from Grand Boulevard to the East End, all the way to downtown. So we realized that we could not do this on our own, so we joined a group of other individuals in order to buy, in order to be able to grab some of that wealth on the housing side. So it's very key and important. But what I want to talk about, as Marcel indicated, okay, we kind of like threw him in the lion's den, because when he came on the team, we pretty much put him with one of the best in the world, Paul Goodnight and Poncho, okay? And that's two strong, internationally acclaimed artists if you don't know them. The challenge I see here in Detroit, and our podcast will start in September with Marcel and I,